talk, it's like Pokémon are just things to collect, like dolls or stamps. What kind of trainer are you?
I'm afraid I'm not a trainer, young lady. I am merely a collector.
He's just a collector. I'm just a collector, man. I'm a collector. Okay, everything's fine. Everything is cool. It's just a normal review. Just off-screen Caleb isn't here today, but that's fine. Everything is fine. He said that if I need anything, I can call him. But should I move that light an inch to the left? Should I call off-screen Caleb to ask if I should move that light an inch to the left? No, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. I'm the chosen one. I can do this. I can do this. I can do this. Hello and wonderful to see you. My name is Gingy Dave and today we'll be doing a deep dive and reviewing the second Pokemon movie, Pokemon 2000. Gingy, you ask, Gingy, shouldn't this be the 2000th movie of Pokemon? Alas, no. Much like the Fast and the Furious saga, the naming convention of Pokemon are an absolute enigma and escape most reason. That is why, however, dear viewer, I've been chosen to review the movie, to make this experience as easy as possible. In fact, just yesterday, an archaeological discovery of an ancient and unknown tongue was finally deciphered. Well, most of it anyways. And it foretold that one day a YouTuber named Gingy Dave would be the only one chosen to review Pokemon 2000. You might think the implications of this are terrifying. Indeed, the mere idea that the ancients knew 1, about Pokemon, 2, about me, and 3, about a free video sharing service is enough to make the mind shudder. In fact, when I was called to be told the news of this finding, I laughed it off. I informed them that it was a hoax. Surely the ancients had something better to do with their time, but they kept calling me, eventually even going to the most professional form of communication, email. The evidence is all there. Is what I've been chosen to be. I don't even know if I have the strength to do this, if I'm honest. Well, I mean, off-screen Caleb said that I could call him if anything terrible were to happen, so that's nice, but nothing terrible will happen. We're good. And besides, this is just like our other review. In fact, I know I can do it. I'm the chosen one. I was destined by antiquity to review this Pokemon movie. I was born to review Pokemon 2000. So, let's do a recap of the movie, shall we? Pokemon 2000 starts off with a prophecy being read aloud by Slowking. I will now do a dramatic retelling of it. Disturb not the harmony of fire, ice, or lightning. Let these titans wreak destruction upon the world in which they clash. Through the waters, great guardian shall arise to quell the fighting. Alone, its song will fail. Thus, the earth shall turn to ash. O chosen one, into thine hands bring together all three, their treasures combined, tame the beasts of the sea. From the trio of islands, ancient spheres shall you take, for between life and oh, the difference you'll make. Climb to the shrine to right what is wrong, and the world will be healed by the Guardian's song. Whoa, 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 whoa. I assure you, everything that the prophecy said will come true. And yes, you have guessed the twist. All this doom and gloom about the world turning to ash, you would think no one would be dumb enough to try and catch these beautiful forces of nature beings, right? Enter Lawrence III, a collector, or the average Pokemon game player. He wants to capture the 3 legendary birds to summon the true prize, wait, that's not how you say it. I'll figure it out. Lawrence III's first stop is capturing Moltres from Fire Island. And okay, quick aside, I know that Pokemon isn't known for its strength and dialogue, but someone must have thought of a better name for these islands than corresponding element island. We are then introduced to our heroes. Ash, Misty, and Tracy are on a boat with a woman named Marin. As we are introduced to the trainers and their Pokemon, we get what looks like to be the staple of these movies, introducing the world of Pokemon while having a super catchy tune play in the background. We all live in a Pokemon world, Pokemon. We all live in a battle. Just as the tune was finally entering the long-term portion of your brain, a rogue storm comes and sweeps up the boat. And the giant metal Magikarp. Oh, have I not talked about that yet? Team Rocket is being all weird and spying on our crew with a gigantic, sticks out like a sore thumb, push-pedal-powered submarine that looks like the king of all Magikarps. The storm doesn't just affect Ash and crew, but also it seems the whole world, as Ash's mom, whose name is actually Diaria? And Professor Oak is hit with a rogue storm of their own, all the way in Palatown. Oak deduces that something is going on that's not good. His powers of perception are unmatched. Cut back to our heroes, and the gang safely lands at Shimauti Island and are welcomed by the islanders as they are celebrating an ancient legend. Melody, Marin's sister, was chosen to be the festival maiden for this year and has the privilege of playing the song on this twisty shell thingy. She also has the honor of choosing who enacts the chosen one for this year, and she decides to pick Ash, as he was the first Pokemon trainer to come to the island. Ash's job for the festival is to go to all the elemental islands, grab the glass orb thingies that occupy them, and bring them back to Shimauti, where Melody will play a song. And a quick side note, I understand that the idea of subtlety is lost on the Pokemon writing team, and it should be, as they're writing for children, but naming the person who will play music, Melody, would be like naming me Reviewy Dave. Anyways, Melody must play a song for the festival to officially end. Ash, not wanting to procrastinate unlike me during college, takes off with Pikachu and the honorary boat driver off to the first island, which they promptly crash into and aground the boat. Melody feels bad for sending Ash off to his grave, and like a true sibling, doesn't even mention the well-being of her older sister. She takes Misty and Tracy on the cool boat and rips through the ocean, and by rips, I mean absolutely shreds the ocean, and also promptly crashes their boat, which leads to my favorite scene in the whole movie.
It flies?
If you know how. Awesome!
Ride the wind, boys! Ride the wind, boys! Ash retrieves the flame orb and is promptly challenged by Team Rocket. Team Rocket literally has no time to do anything before they are attacked by the skyboat. Ride the wind, boys! Before anyone realizes that the laws of physics are also out of whack, Zapdos comes and tries to make Fire Island a part of his territory, as Moltres is now no longer there to protect his domain. There's this kind of cool scene where Pikachu talks with Zapdos using electrical current, so we can get this bit of information. I don't know. I really like this kind of stuff. It's some fun world building. I just wish they don't immediately abandon these ideas once they use them. It's kind of a throwaway thing. Lawrence III comes out of nowhere, which is really hard to do as the aircraft is absolutely ginormous, and captures Zapdos as well as the gang of heroes. Lawrence meets his new guests, and it brings up my next favorite scene.
The way you talk, it's like Pokemon are just things to collect, like dolls or stamps. What kind of trainer are you?
I'm afraid I'm not a trainer, young lady. I am merely a collector.
He's just a collector. I'm just a collector, man. I'm a collector. Then Lawrence does this old school villain thing and just leaves them next to the legendary birds. Alone. What? The next few scenes are the consequences of Lawrence's actions being shown. The world is going cuckoo for a startling lack of birdies. We get a scene of Professor Oak and Ivy explaining how this climate anomaly is specifically affecting the sea near Orange Isles, creating a super underwater current, and if it isn't stopped, it will destroy the world. Now, if you want my opinion as far as world-ending natural disasters, underwater currents are not really that much of a spectacle. I digress. The heroes in Team Rocket, having been left alone by the villain, decide to free the captured legendary birdos, who immediately fight each other on sight and get the giant aircraft in the crossfires, which falls in style towards the Thunder Island. Articuno joining the fray. He was trying to capture Zapdos' island while he was attacking the Fire Island, and everyone abandoned ship. The fight between the elemental bird flings the Thunder Orb right in front of Ash with the power of movie magic. Speaking of movie magic, the crew is whisked away in the boat, now christened, Woo! Ride the wind, boys! And lands in the island where all the orbs are supposed to gather. Slowking then tells Ash that he is the chosen one of legend. Gasp! And that only he can bring balance to the world. Ash accepts his duty and must now go to Ice Island to retrieve the Ice Orb. And man, in Legend of Zelda, retrieving the stones feels just cooler. The three birds battling it out for a constant array of elemental attacks, and Ash puts his body in harm's way as if it's the only thing he really knows how to do. And before he is sent into oblivion, out comes the Guardian of the Sea, Lugium. Jeez, his name is really hard to say. But I'm the chosen one. I'm the only one who can review this movie. In fact, I've been destined to. Man, I wish someone could just tell me how to say his name. Well, it looks like I don't have to think about Lugia's name for too much longer, as he is immediately blasted out of the air. Honestly, as the kids would say, his aura dropped considerably. Good thing Melody remembers that she can play the Ocarina of Seas and plays a secondhand version of the Song of Healing, and shows that in fact, bards should be using their heals more often as support characters. Ash retrieves a piece of rubble as a makeshift toboggan and uses Charizard as a makeshift jet fuel to get to Ice Island. This is all for naught, as the toboggan gets destroyed and all seems lost until Team Rocket comes in and says, hey, we might be bad guys, but we're not bad guys, and takes Ash to get the Ice Orb. The three Birdos don't like this and start attacking Ash and the Rockets, who barely escape by jumping and riding on Lugigio. Dang it! If I can't say this stupid bird's name right, then my title as the chosen one is in jeopardy. Think, what should I do? What should I do? What would off-screen Caleb say? He would say, relax, we can get through it. Everything's going to be fine. I can do this. Luguillermo is going too slow while trying to evade the other legends, so Team Rocket accepts their fate and sacrifices themselves for the greater good. Their sacrifice was in vain though, as Lawrence III was just waiting for the right moment to try and capture Lugiami, and strikes. Lugugu Gaga did not take kindly to this and just absolutely gone, dude. He's gone. Luguillermo was sadly injured during this conflict and falls for the second time, with Ash also unconscious. Misty and Tracy save Ash from drowning, and Ash brings the Ice Orb to finish the collection, preparing the scene for Melody to play the song. The song plays for a really long time, but through its sick beats, the world is saved. The three legendaries calmed down. Lugigagoom regained all of his HP and destroyed the underwater current thing that none of us were really worried about and I totally forgot about. And that's the way the story ends. Also, Lawrence III is alive, but he has like this cool Mew card. It's fine. Man, you know what? It's nice that we got through this whole recap, even though I still don't know how to say Lugio's name right. Just pushing through kind of works, though, I guess. Anyways, now it's time for the actual review. Pokémon 2000 has a bit of a pacing issue. I think some of the most interesting bits of this movie actually come from Lawrence III himself. He seems to play on the gotta catch them all mentality the Pokemon video game players have, and put that characteristic to its fullest conclusion, specifically in a Pokemon world. If you only care about collecting and not about the actual Pokemon, what kind of person are you? The movie answers this question as you see the villain who cares nothing for the entirety of the world, and only yourself. This is a really cool premise and idea. Of course, in a Pokemon world, the idea of collecting would seem immoral, but here's why Lawrence feels so weirdly out of place in the story. The question that he is asking, should collecting be your goal, is not the question of the movie. This is why it feels really weird, and it's kind of a shame, because it's a really good question and it's probably a really good theme. The main theme of the movie, however, though, is kind of like how do people in Pokemon and everyone come together to maintain the balance of nature. And honestly, I've seen that theme a million times before. The question of like what is collecting like in a Pokemon world where it's like actually real is way more interesting. Also, I am all in for a bit of good luck in movies. In fact, a bit of luck for the heroes can make a movie great with a feeling of, oh, that's why they were chosen. But man, the amount of perfectly timed things in this movie is just genuinely crazy. And it could lead to awesome spectacles like the win, boys! But yeah, one too many times and all of a sudden it's just like, yeah, you're kind of Deus Ex Machina for Deus Ex Machina's sake. It doesn't feel good. I would say the worst part of this movie, for me, as it stands, is the characters and dialogue. A lot of characters are there strictly for the purpose of giving exposition and then kind of waiting. Like, in fact, Professor Oak, Professor Ivy, and even Ash's mom are solely there just to give exposition of what's actually happening in the larger scale of things. What you could have done, though, is just shown things without expositing things. It's a really shame because all these Pokemon characters are super quirky and they're super fun, and none of them get time to shine. In fact, most of them I would say are just stale NPCs. And while I think about that, I almost forgot about the underwater current plot. This is so dumb. The problem with this being the main issue of the climate going out of control is that you can't see what's happening. This is just bad writing, especially for like an environmental thing where most of the stuff you can see. In fact, we see like lightning and fire and ice affecting the landscape, but the big bad, so to speak, is an underwater current that you can't see, especially in a medium where it's a visual medium, it's a movie. Your whole purpose is to like show, don't tell. So so much of this movie could have just been scrapped or used for different, like just different things, different like potentially making the world a little bit more fuller. Instead, they had to exposit it because it's an underwater current. You can't see it like affecting the Pokemon and the people. Here's like an idea that I had instead of that, and they were already kind of doing this, and I don't know why they didn't just like continue with it. If it was just like, let's say instead of an underwater current that you can't see, it was a giant tornado that just kept growing bigger and bigger that had like ice and lightning and fire particles going through it all. You wouldn't have to tell people like bad thing is happening to the world. You could see bad thing happening to the world. That would be much, much better. Okay, let's get into the part about Lugia. I can't do it. I can't do a whole segment on a Pokemon I can't even say the name of. What am I doing? I'm not the chosen one. I can't even do this review by myself. The chosen one has to be able to. Wait a second. Ash was the chosen one too, and he didn't do it by himself. Ash's whole thing is that even though he was the chosen one, he could rely on his friends and even his enemies and for sure his Pokemon. Oh, maybe I could just be the chosen one and still ask for help. I need help. I need help.
So yeah, it's pronounced Lugia.
Lugio.
Have you been saying like that the whole video?
Yeah, I have.
You should have called me earlier.
Yeah, I know, bud.
Okay, just one more time. Lugia.
Lugio.
Lugia.
Lugia. Lugia?
Yeah.
Lugia? I did it! I did it! Thank you! Thank you! We did it! We did it! Yes! Yes! Okay, we can finally talk about Lugia. I really wanted him to be cool, but I think that if you get knocked out cold in the first few minutes of your entry into a movie, you're showing that you aren't as strong as people were hoping for, which might help with the major theme, which is the Chosen One can't do it alone. But it honestly is really a shame. Lugia is the really cool Pokemon, and kind of got super disrespected. Also, on a personal aside, I'm really uncomfortable with Pokemon talking. There's a whole plot summary of why Meowth talks, and there's a bit of an understanding with Mewtwo being originated from Mew being a psychic type. Lugia and Slowking. Lugia makes a little bit of sense. He's kind of psychic. I know he's a psychic type Pokemon. It doesn't feel the same as Mewtwo. Mewtwo feels very much like a psychic, also looks humanoid, which really helps. Lugia, it's fine. Slowking messes me up, dude. I do not like it when Pokemon start talking. I think it kind of humanizing them de-Pokemons them, if that makes sense. I kind of like my Pokemon like Pokemon, which are just these cute little guys that I just love and I've loved forever. But yeah, I don't like it that they're talking. So that's it. That is the review of Pokemon 2000. And now we get to put it on the tier list. I'm going to put it on a tier list, which I was not expecting to put it on. I was initially looking forward to this movie because this is the movie my dad took me to when we went to the theaters together. And I just have really good memories of this movie. However, as an adult, this is like a very basic movie. There's not a whole lot of like terrible moments. There's not a whole lot of great moments. And that mediocrity, I don't know how else to put this. This is probably my least favorite tier because the higher tiers, you shot your shot, you succeeded, congrats. The lower tiers, you shot your shot, you missed it, I'm proud of you. You have to try. This one goes into C tier. And C tier is probably the tier of mediocrity, the tier of like, you're not going to remember this movie unless you had a very emotional connection to it when you were a kid. And I understand that because I did too. And you'll probably only remember the boat scene. Just plain and simple. And for that, it gets a C tier. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you really liked this video, please leave a like and subscribe. We're a growing channel. We're just starting out. We would love your help with going through all of this. I don't even know, like just trying to make content, trying to get people to see it. We work really hard on it. Me and Offscreen Caleb do a lot of work behind the scenes, and we really hope you enjoyed it and hope you have a good one.